Well, Rogers Communications has now acquired full league approvals to acquire the portion of MLSE that it did not already own. It is now the dominant owner of that company, which owns the Toronto Maple Leafs, the Toronto Raptors, the Toronto FC football team, the soccer team, the Marlies minor league hockey team, and Rogers already had full control of the Toronto Blue Jays. So Rogers Communications becomes a sports Goliath. We're joined now by an expert to talk about it. Jonah Sigel is founder of YYZSportsmedia. He's been talking about sports in this city for a long time. Jonah, thanks a lot for joining us.
Nice to be here.
So let's talk first of all about the role that Edward Rogers takes on here now as a sports baron on the Canadian landscape with dominant ownership. I want to talk about Larry Tannenbaum because he's still involved in MLSE. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so let's leave that just for a second. But Rogers becomes the dominant owner of the Leafs, the Raptors, and the Blue Jays, the three huge teams here.
Yeah, it's really interesting because he's always played a bit of a back role publicly, and suddenly he is now front and face for all the major franchises in this city. And you know, two of those franchises, the Blue Jays and the Raptors, are nationwide. We don't have other baseball teams, we don't have other basketball teams, and we all know the popularity or hatred of the Maple Leafs, and suddenly the franchise definitely has a face, and it is Edward Rogers Jr.
What do you think has prompted him to become more public? Because you're quite right. For many, many years, he's been way behind the scenes now, and he's a little bit more prominent now. And you would have to think he's going to become a lot more prominent, being really the face of these teams.
Well, I don't know how much he's going to put himself into the public specter, but I will tell you that, you know, it's sports, and sports, you know, short for fan, the short term for fanatic is fan, and that's what we all are, and there's a fanatical piece to that. So whether he likes it or not, when things go south, he's now going to be on the hook as the face of those franchises.
So what does this do for how, I guess, for me as a big fan and us as a big fan, how we can actually view these games, you know, streaming? How is this all going to work? I know now, you know, sometimes you turn on the TV on a Friday night and you got to get Amazon Prime to watch the Blue Jay game or a Leaf game on a Monday night. How does this all work? Streaming, is there going to be some big deals? And what can you comment on that?
So, you know, on the heels of this, he just acquired, and again, the NHL rights for another gazillion years at $11 billion.
Right.
You know, this is massive. And what is really interesting and exciting is that we are just at the precipice of massive technological advancements in how we consume content. You know, TV is changing. How we watch it and consume it is ever changing. Ultimately, whether it's on Amazon, Apple, Yahoo, Netflix, the Discovery, Warner Brothers, whoever has it, ultimately nobody really cares except who owns those rights. And what he's done for hockey, he's now acquired all rights basically in Canada nationally for those games. He's got the Blue Jays, he's now got the Raptors, and he's got the Maple Leafs, he's got the NHL. There's some local teams here in Canada that are not owned by him, but those are coming up as well. He's basically put a full ownership stake on how we consume entertainment and sports content in this country.
He clearly believes in sports as a profit driver for Rogers Media, which is the section of Rogers that owns all of this. What about commitment to winning? That's what fans really care about. Now, here's what I've got to say on that. For years, the Toronto Blue Jay fan base has called Rogers cheap. They won't pony up. They won't spend on players, blah, blah, blah. Right now, the Blue Jays are the #5 payroll in Major League Baseball, and the team is committed in a big, big way, a big, expensive way, to Vladimir Guerrero Jr. It seems to me that Rogers is paying up now for the Blue Jays and seems committed to doing what ownership can do, which is pay the salaries that are necessary to compete. It's then on management and the players to actually go ahead and win.
Great point. I mean, I think the one thing that fans should take a lot of umbrage in is the fact that at the end of the day, the guy spends money. You know, he spent $1 gazillion down in Dunedin rebuilding that facility. He rebuilt the Dome. Now he's spending on players. I mean, if he's guilty of one thing, it's being too loyal to management. We can talk about the Blue Jays and their lack of productivity, but here they are right now. They're now starting to sniff competitiveness, and as we all know and remember, when they get close come late August, September, that building is full. The TV ratings go through the roofs, and I don't need to tell either of you what that means financially for Rogers. So it all comes down to the bottom line, and I think he understands that if he can own the sports eyeballs and attention in this country, That's a big deal.
Right. And one big difference, of course, between Major League Baseball and the NBA and the NHL is there's no salary cap in baseball. There are luxury taxes, which put some restraint on payroll growth, but there aren't hard caps as there are in baseball and in hockey. Alan?
Yeah, I was going to ask the same thing. You know, bigger pockets. Does that mean bigger pockets? Does that mean, like you mentioned, the salary cap in hockey? Obviously, there are a bunch of free agent signings that the whole city's talking about right now. Is Rogers ready to pony up the money to bring in some big names to take us over the top? Is I guess the question we all want to know the answer to.
Well, I mean, it seems to me that on the Leaf side, they spend to the cap. So I don't think there's any problem with those teams having the money they require to be competitive. That's the same thing with the Raptors. I don't think anyone's ever accused MLSE of being cheap.
Yeah.
So at the end, it just seems to me it's pretty obvious that the money is there. Question is, does he have the right people managing the teams to get us to the land that we haven't been to in some cases since 1967? Okay,
so what's your opinion on that in the case of the Blue Jays? The fan base has also been barking mad at Shapiro and Atkins for at least a couple of years.
Oh, so you want a sports opinion now, do you?
Yes, I do.
Well, I'll tell you, this is one person's opinion, is that two guys came into this role, I think about 10 years ago, with a lot of promises. They took the old management team to task for not competing, not being successful, and selling the farm system. So they were going to be competitive all the time, and we're going to have this awesome cupboard full of talent.
Right.
Where?
Yeah.
They've not done anything. The cupboard is pretty much barren. The team is now sniffing success for the first time. The only time they were really successful in the playoffs, it was a team they inherited. To me, the one thing that I think they've really failed on is being very reliant and very loyal to management. They've done it in hockey with Brendan Shanahan. They've done it in baseball now with Shapiro and Atkins. Mm-hmm. And I won't go to a game personally until those two aren't here.
Okay. Okay, here's another one. Alan and I were talking about this in the break. Should the Leafs sign Mitch Marner, or should they let him go?
So in the one sense, I think he's arguably the best player on the team. Yeah. The guy produces. The challenge is that when it's meaningful in the playoffs, he seems to turn into a little bit of Casper the Ghost. And he's not alone in that. He's got three friends that seem to do the same thing. I think it's time for change. I think he's ready for change. I think it's time for change for the team. I think he used that money wisely. And again, mismanagement. We never should have gotten to this point to begin with. These guys should not be free agents where they can walk away for nothing. They've mismanaged their budget, and the team pays for it. And we as fans, we don't sleep at night because of it.
Okay. Jonah, thanks a lot. We're out of time. Quickly tell us about your company, YYZSportsmedia.
I cover sports media. I have a podcast called Believe in the Pressrow. I'm big on Twitter, all over social media. I love this part of the game, so to speak. There's lots of people who talk X's and O's on the game. I love the media side of it. So,
Jonah, thanks a lot for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Jonah Sigel is founder of YYZSportsmedia.